Hello, this is Metal Grove Radio, and I am Ryan Egan. Today I'm talking with Mitch Steele from the legendary Arizona band Jesus Chrysler Supercar. Thanks for being on the show, Mitch. Appreciate it so much. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just gonna shorten it. Like I read in the article, it said JCS. So you guys started back in '93, is that right?
Yeah, we started playing shows in '93.
Okay.
We probably, I don't know how long we'd been playing, rehearsing and stuff at that point, but
Together. So you probably got together before that. So yeah,
yeah, but yeah,
how
I think we were put together about a year before we started playing shows. Yeah.
so it was Matt Collins and who else was with you back then?
The original lineup of the band was Matt Collins, um, Jason Corman,
Yes.
Jamie Hickerson,
Okay.
and Eric Smith.
Okay. And so how did you guys meet? Like how did you first meet and, start wanting to, do music together?
Jamie and I were pretty good friends for a while, and we both been sort of playing around in other bands, right? So we met through mutual friends and just started writing and playing in bands together. And we had a band called Big Love, which was probably our first band in Arizona, and then when that sort of dissolved, we just decided to keep playing together, and then through that effort, we just started looking for other guys, and that's where we met at the meeting.
Nice.
Jason came through um, came through with one of our friends. You know, hey, can you hold on 1 second?
And you
I
guys
got
were all in Arizona at the time.
yeah yeah.
Yep. And yeah, so you had a lot of local, following, a lot of shows, really good high energy live shows. I watched, some of the videos. And what actually, who are the bands that you listened to and kind of influenced your sound, or what were you going for? Or you just were just kind of your own thing. What was it like?
Um, you mean like just in a general sense, as far as like just in music, what kind of music I was into, or what the
Yeah,
bands
like
I've been into?
yeah, what you were listening to, and then maybe like the bands that kind of influenced your sound, maybe.
Um, I was always kind of a metal guy. I was always into Iron Maiden and bands like that from back in the I grew up
Yeah,
on Kiss and Rush and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And as time goes by, you start getting into the newer music or more current stuff.
yeah.
And I think they were it came.
So you had an EP in 1994 called Supercar. One of my favorite songs is Diesel. I really like the vocals. It's kind of something you might have heard, on the radio in the '90s. What's who wrote that one? What was the inspiration behind that one?
Jason was Jason came into the band, and we were when we first started playing. It was like I said, Jamie and I kind of got things started, and then when Jason came into the band, he had like Jason's a different kind of guy. He came in. It was a different level than we were. He just came in with just a ton of energy and a ton of music, and he came in and just started playing riffs, and we just sort of locked into certain riffs and certain songs that just kind of came together faster than others, and that was one
Yeah.
that came on pretty quickly. Um, as a band, that was one of the earlier songs that we had written also. So we just we just I don't know how it all came together, honestly, but it happened pretty quickly. We were just we had a practice pad. We're on Broadway and um, Broadway and so,
Oh,
I remember about the conservatory. If you know where the conservatory and
yeah.
music conservatory is, right by there, right next door to it.
Okay.
We rented a space over there. So it's basically Jason brought the riff in, and then we just all the rest of it came together. With a 5-piece band. You're like texturing guitars and doing all that stuff. So there's different. Everybody's adding parts to it, so it's a little bit different than some of the other bands I've been in, where it's just a 4-piece
Yeah.
writing changes. You have a lot of people contributing,
Yeah.
so you're trying to not step on everybody's parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Jason for the most part, and then the rest of us as a collective.
Yeah.
Wrote the lyrics and all that, obviously. Um, and inspiration behind it. The song is, it just kind of came out of, most of the stuff that I would write was just sort of, stream of conscience, I guess. Whenever sort of, I would riff over the songs, right? And then just whenever I would lock into something that was working, it would inspire some improvisational kind of lyrics,
Yeah.
and I would build out from there. And so I sort of started in the center, or wherever I hooked into something that would usually lead to, so when I'm just sort of riffing over top of the music, there would be like
Yeah. And then it's,
I'd be recording myself in practice, right? And then I would hear like stuff inside of what I was saying, or just that would sort of inspire the song, or just take a direction. I didn't go into the songs with an idea of I need to write about something, right? So I kind of let the songs sort of dictate.
you just kind of let the theme, yeah, develop as it goes along. Yeah, that's cool. Well, then you had two albums after that, Latter Day Speedway in '96 and Land Speed '98. Um, and so you probably had, did you have different lineups on both of those or
We had the first two records on Supercar, and then on Latter Day Speedway, it was the same lineup.
okay,
And then Jamie Hickerson ended up leaving the band, and he has ended up getting married and moving to California.
okay,
So he left the band. And we knew he was leaving. I wasn't surprised, and we had found a replacement. He kind of helped us get him going,
yeah,
and that was Joey St. Clair.
okay. Well then, let's see what else I have here. Um, so in '99, things, didn't work out and you guys kind of, moved on. And um, what did you guys do after that?
After things didn't after
Yeah.
things didn't work out,
Yeah.
well, we just broke up.
Yep. You just,
It was,
and then,
we had been a band for probably 11 years,
yeah.
or maybe not 11. I did. I'm more close to like 8 or 10 years. Um, so we had been doing the band for a long time, and had some moderate success, regionally.
Yeah.
And we dealt with a lot of record labels and stuff, kind of sniffing around and talking to us and making promises, and then not coming through with those things. And Matt and I were we're really serious on the business side of all this stuff. And there's a lot of this, just being in a band is one thing, but then you have to take it serious as far as, making things happen. So we did a lot of with the merchandise, we did all the dealing with attorneys and all that stuff. And it just over time, it just, you're expecting something to come out of that, right? It's like you can only play at this level for so long before you have to take a day job.
Yeah.
You got to pay for your, people that starting to have kids,
Yep.
and you start getting a little older, and you need to have some security and whatnot. It's like people are getting pressure in different parts of their life. So we've been doing it for so long, and we'd set up this, we had we got a demo deal with Columbia Records, and we which was very cool at the time. They paid us some money to record like 4 songs for them, and
Yeah.
that didn't work out the way we wanted it to. We did a couple showcases for them in New York City, like the whiskey, and we also played at a place called Onion Grocery. These different record showcases. They were really well, but they weren't totally sold on if we were going to if it was what they wanted, and we were kind of our attorney was pushing a little bit. Um, and so they ended up passing on us. And then that same weekend that we had our final showcase out there, we also when they passed on us the next day, we went down and actually signed a deal with Island Records.
Oh,
So we're happy, we're excited, we're getting ready to do all our stuff, and now we're finally legitimate. Right now we can go and everything we've been kind of working for hopefully go achieve that. There's still more
yeah.
guesswork because in our minds, you feel like that's the goal is to get a major label record deal, and you're going to go now you can go be a rock star or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can be on the radio and all that stuff, make some videos and whatever. And hopefully
Yeah.
it's already good enough people like it. Um,
Well, it's a
we
comp.
did that, we flew back, and then once we got back into town a couple of weeks later, we're preparing, we're trying to write music, we're doing everything kind of on our end, moving forward, and sometime in that 3 weeks to a month after we put that deal together with Island Records, um, they they end up getting bought out by Seagram's, and along with a bunch of other record labels
Yeah.
through this Seagram's merger, and then they end up dropping all of their new artists, and so in a span of about a month, we were like super excited, and then they just pulled the blanket out from underneath our, the rug off from underneath our feet. And so there's a lot of uncertainty again. So um,
Yeah.
that sort of took the wind out of our sails for a bit, and then so
Yeah.
we decided to try to, we ended up putting out a record on our own, put together a tour, and that was kind of a disaster, that last tour. So we've been out and we made it work, but it was, we were gone for a couple of months, and it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of stress between people in the band, and a lot of infighting and arguing and that kind of stuff. And so somewhere between that, I always say it was between Bowling Green and Tempe, we broke up, but
Yeah.
it probably happened a lot longer before that. We'd been setting up the breakup for quite a while. There was a lot of arguing, a lot of
Yeah. Just
tension, and it was just stressful.
those eventual. Yeah. It's
Matt and I are doing a lot of work to try to keep the band going, and the other guys were, have resentments for us because we're pushing them harder than they want to get pushed, and
yeah.
it was just weird. So when we got back to that last tour, and it was just over. I got a phone call from Jason, just basically saying, drop the van off, and I'm done. Hope I never see you guys again. Bye, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Wow. Well, it's a common story. I've talked to a lot of bands, over the years, and it's kind of along those same lines, and it just ended up how it ended up,
Yeah.
and just
Well, it's so
oh,
weird because when you're with it, when you're in a band that was like ours, and we did a lot, dude. We traveled a lot. We played California, all the way over the East Coast, West Coast. We did a lot of traveling, a lot of touring, and a lot of we were together all the time, right? Like family, in my opinion. And when you're around people like that every day for 8 to 10 years or something, it's like you just expect it to just kind of go on like regular family does. You just
yeah,
but so when that ended, it was just like it was rough because just suddenly you don't have the same people in your life anymore that you've been around every single day
yeah,
for a very long time, and it's like it was really weird. So I ended up moving up to I just got another van, ended up moving to Vegas. Matt ended up moving back to Wisconsin, and Jason took over his father-in-law's business, which was a pork shop out in Queen Creek.
oh yeah,
still doing that today, and they're very successful. Eric is a jeweler. He makes wedding rings and stuff like that.
Okay.
And Joey, I don't know. I lost contact with Joey.
Well,
After the band broke up, we kind of stayed. We kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
it happens, and yeah, it's happened to me with a lot of my friends, and then it's just been recently just that we've kind of reconnected. So how did you guys reconnect and start making music? Was that 2023 or 2022? When was that?
It was a lot. Actually, it was a lot. It took a while to get to where we're at. It's a. I'll try to keep it brief, but
Yeah.
essentially, um, after as time went on, I ended up. I was in Vegas for a while, and I was working for my dad, and living in Vegas, sort of a Vegas lifestyle, which can be pretty dangerous. If you're not paying attention, you can get caught up in a lot of partying and whatnot. So anyway, my life took sort of a sidetrack. I kind of got off the rails for a minute. And I was, partying and not doing the right things, so to speak, and
Yeah.
ended up going into rehab a couple times, and finally got my life back on track about 5 years later. And then at that time, once I was kind of, had everything put back together, I ended up moving back to Detroit because I had a lot of family. When my dad was in Michigan, and came out here, and I was able to get a job working inside Sterling Stamping down in Detroit, um, and I got a job supervising. Um, that's called Sterling Stamping, which is I worked for a contractor, so I was supervising. I was became a supervisor out there and inside the plant, and I did that for. I was at Sterling Stamping for 3 years, and while I was there, I was working the first year I was there. I worked the night shift, so I was working about 60 hours a week on the night shift,
Oh man.
supervising um, janitorial and housekeeping, which doesn't sound super exciting. It's not, but it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of people. I had about 80 employees, so I was constantly working. And but when you're on the night shift, you got a lot of time to think about stuff, and so during that time, there's a lot of self reflection going on and a lot of personal growth because I'm trying to process what happened with the band because I kind of when the band broke up, I just said fuck it and I stopped doing music altogether. Literally, I didn't you know
Yeah.
once I got away from it. I mean, I'd done another band immediately after Jesus Chrysler. Then all my partying and stuff got in the way, and that kind of messed that up too. So I was like, sort of in a weird place emotionally, so and mentally. So I just when I finally got my shit together and I was adult again and responsible, I got to start working and start making some money, and I was working at Chrysler. And while I was working there, I just kind of got just trying to process through everything, and
Yeah.
in that process, I went through. I started reaching out to Jason. I was like, I mean, he's stubborn. He's not, it's not like he's ever going to call me. So I just, and there was this thing that was going on. It was Facebook, and I'm like, maybe I can get a hold of him through Facebook. And I didn't have any of his phone numbers. I had nothing.
Yeah.
That was early on, and so I just kind of, I don't know, I just started reaching out to him and just making phone calls and kind of bugging him. And this probably started in 2000 and I'm gonna say 2010
Okay.
probably.
All right.
So it was like that's where I had to kind of start. That's where we started setting the table a little bit.
Yeah.
But it took a long time to get Jason to open up to even have the conversation, like the actual conversation. There were just like little like back and forth talks here and there. How you been? Whatever, miss you guys, blah blah blah. Trying to apologizing for my behavior or whatever.
Yeah.
Taking responsibility for my my part in the band breaking up, which I never felt, I never knew why the band broke up, to be honest with you. I just figured, if you're with people long enough, it's sort of like, it's like, we're family or whatever. So
Yeah.
when it broke up, I was just, it was just weird to me because, it was something I did, so, and I never really had any clear answers from that. So dealing with, talking to Jason, through that, we just kind of got it worked out. Um, and we just, everybody just sort of at the end of the rope, and he was stressed out because of, we're traveling all the time. He's got a wife. He's got, she wants some money. She wants to make money. They want to have a family. They want to do stuff like that. And everybody's, we're pushing him in one direction. He's getting pulled in another direction. And we're all kind of this being pulled and stretched, and
Yeah.
attitudes are weird. So anyway, I would say that the whole thing started back in 2010 when I just started bugging Jason and trying to become his friend again. Sort of like, let's try to be friends, and then we can, hopefully through that we can maybe move into some music again.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just kept, over the years we stayed in touch, and a little bit here, a little bit there, and then when I ended up moving back to Arizona in 2014, I let him know. I was like, hey, let's what do you think about some music? So
Yeah.
and he's like, I don't know. So he ended up sending me some stuff and little things, little pieces of music here and there, and it took, so probably from 2014 to 2017, we were just sort of like teasing the idea of doing music.
Yeah.
And I think probably 2018, we actually started working on it, writing the songs and doing all that stuff. And then,
Okay. So you
so it
guys,
was a much longer process than it probably most people would have, you know.
yeah. I know, because I thought like seems like quite a few bands that are getting back together. It's just because of not because of COVID, but like around COVID. Like after COVID, they're like, oh, let's do this again. So you guys started way before that. That's pretty cool.
Well, we started talking, right? We
Yeah,
started talking and just sort of set the table. And then once
get the idea
we
going.
started we started writing the songs pre-COVID, and we had tracks, some vocals. We had scratch tracks, and we had demo tracks and all that stuff put together pre-COVID, and then we started getting into the studio right about just before COVID hit, and then once COVID hit, it was just like everything got put on hold, right? So, and I mean, at that point, I had another band that I was working with also called Gladhammer,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and so that just COVID really just was like this 2 year pause, a 3 year pause, or whatever.
Okay.
Just like, so we had a good start, and then during COVID, then once we had an opportunity also to kind of get some stuff tracked. We finished up some of the songs, but it wasn't the same. But you know, we had some momentum going just prior to it, and then when that hit, everybody was like worried about money and
Yeah.
all that.
Everything.
Jason and I didn't live. We both lived in Arizona, but I was up in Tucson, and he was up in Queen Creek, so we're hour and 40 minutes apart.
Yeah.
So we did a lot over the phone. Um, so it just, yeah, I just, and we had a different drummer too, so we were working with another guy.
Yeah.
We just started off me and Jason working on stuff as a two piece, right? Um, just writing the stuff, and he was doing. We brought in a drummer to play the drums.
Yeah.
So we had another guy just come in, and Matt, and during COVID is kind of when Matt sort of got involved. We'd been asking if he wanted to do some stuff, and he wanted to do it his way, and we're like, this is how we're going to do it: is you're going to fly out here and work on the drums with us. We're not going to work remotely. We're going to do this organically in the studio, in the practice studio. That's how we want to write it. And he wasn't available for that. So we had another guy come in, and we had just planned on releasing it as we were working on music as a band. We were calling the band the Antichristler.
Oh,
So that's why the album's called the new music's called. We're going to release it as an album under the title the Antichristler.
uh,
But once we got songs kind of finished, and COVID was over, Um, Matt wants to be in the band. So you know, Jason was a little reluctant, at that point to start over, but Matt did his drum tracks and redid some of the drums, and
Yeah,
the rest is history. So now we're just it set us back for a couple of years to redo some of that stuff,
yeah. So you,
and a couple of years the timeline was just mainly because we're just slow at everything. I'm particularly slow. Jason's very busy. Jason's super busy. I mean, he's hard to get to do and get free time to do anything. So when he does have free time, he can get stuff done, but it doesn't have free time ever. So,
yeah, you
you know,
just have to be patient in this business. I've learned just have to take the time when you can. Well, so
and some people are really good at time management and doing all that. I'm not. I'm just, I write at my own pace. It's hard for me to write under pressure.
yeah,
So I don't know. They got done.
yeah. Well, you have
Yeah.
five singles now, and the newest one is "Horseshoes and Hand Grenades," right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's got some cool lyrics about Michigan, which I really connected with. Like Saginaw and about Detroit and stuff. So
Right. Right.
yeah, I
Well, I
like.
was born in Saginaw. I grew up there.
Oh, okay.
And then lived in Detroit for about 10 years. And
Yeah.
now I'm back in Michigan again. I'm living in Lake Orion.
Oh, what in the world? My brother lives there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my brother. Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was just back, not in Lake Orion, but in the Kalamazoo area. My parents live in Portage, so
Wow.
or Lawton actually.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was like when the first snow was. So it was nice because it wasn't too cold, but there was some snow.
So you're talking about just recently.
Yeah, just early November, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Like just like we got snow like right around Thanksgiving, right?
It
Just
was
before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was like November 9th, something like that. So it was pretty early. My dad was not happy. All the leaves were still falling, and then you have snow to deal with.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
we just I did my I have a like I mentioned earlier my daughter's 5, and I'm not a young dad. We started late as parents, but so it's her first time being around snow.
yeah,
And we ended up moving back here just to have my daughter grow up around more family because there's a lot of family in Saginaw and um, um, Grand Rapids area, and then my wife's family is all from like Cleveland,
oh, okay, yeah,
so we're like in between there, so we can go up to see my dad, and we can go see cousins up there, and then I've got her family down south in Ohio.
nice.
So that's why we moved back just to be closer to family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be around family, definitely.
So we just, I mean, I love, I mean, we've been in Lake Orion since July, and I like it quite a bit. It's a really nice area.
Nice, yeah. Um, well, I have just a couple more questions. I always try to ask some off-topic questions a little bit. Have you read any good books lately?
No, I'm not much of a reader, man. I mean, my wife, she's got bookshelves of books that she's read,
Okay.
and I'm not much of a reader. I need to read more. I wish I read more. It's kind of
Well,
embarrassing, actually.
I used to be a teacher, so I always ask that, but
Yeah,
I should qualify it and say, are you a reader first?
yeah, I'm not a reader. My wife's a teacher also. She teaches for Bloomfield Hills School District right now.
Oh, okay.
She was a administrator in Tucson for about 10 years. She's a principal out there for the last 10 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my wife
Right.
to school in Tucson too. Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah,
I think
but as far as there's a lot of movies out there.
Yeah.
I do a lot of read. I do just a lot of reading of I'll watch some um, documentaries and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I've got like something I don't know if I'm dyslexic or what. I just have a really tough time focusing on reading.
Yeah. Documentaries are definitely up there for me. I love watching documentaries, especially about
Yeah.
music. Well, I think just last question, future plans, are you gonna put all those singles on an album or what's the plan there?
So the plan is, I mean, we've got, let me see, we've got, I think there's six singles out now, right? Six. We've got Two Sticks, Get Out of Dodge,
Six,
um,
okay.
Sludge, um, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. I'm missing one. But,
Head down.
oh, okay, yeah, Head Down, and then Kamikaze.
Yeah, Kamikaze is cool. I like that one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's actually that song is actually a cover song. It's sort of a cover song. It's Jason released that song. It was a Mr. Fantastical song he
Oh,
had on one of his solo records.
all right.
And I'm just like, dude, we gotta do this song. It's a great song. He didn't want to do it. He fought me tooth and nail on doing it. But I won. Clearly, I won.
Yeah, that's an interesting song. I like, yeah, to think about like point of view.
It's just, I mean, that's it always, I'm like, I'm one of those guys that's like, that's super emotional. I'm like, I can watch like a good commercial can make me cry, right? So I would listen to that song. I'm like, God, this song is like really, it's deeper than maybe I would give Jason credit for being deeper. Like, when I would like, listen to it, I'm like, this has got a lot more to this than just a song, right?
Yeah, it does, because you kind of think of the point of view of that guy, a kamikaze, like his, like thinking, his duty to his country, to his family, what his father taught him, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, and there's a lot of conflicted people back then also. They weren't just like lining up to be kamikaze pilots.
yeah, no, they,
I've watched, in right in I would when we started making the video thing for it, I was like going through and like doing a lot of reading about that. I mean, just not reading books, but reading articles about kamikazes and watching documentaries and stuff like that. And a lot of those guys were coerced into it. They
yeah,
were told this is what you're going to do, and if they objected to it, then they were forced into it.
yeah,
Uh, and then and clearly they had families and stuff like that, but they also had a sense of culturally there was a sense of duty and a sense of you had to you know us you had to live up to certain expectations as a man,
yeah, the
and so these people they just did what they were told,
yeah,
and I just feel bad, you feel bad about people in that situation, especially in like wartime
yeah,
situation, and it's like I'm not, because you're just sort of taught, these are the good guys, and we're always the good guys, and those people are the bad guys, and you don't really look at what their motivation is, and clearly they weren't necessarily our enemies. Our governments were fighting each other,
yeah.
but the people themselves, are we really their enemies? And so just looking at, what they were going through, and
I
I just found it really, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I think that's very important, especially these days, to not think of people as enemies, like that they have their own stories and what they're going through too. Um,
Yeah,
it's, a lot of people are, you know, especially in politics, like the left and the right, like we're enemies. No, we're one people. Like we just have to try to live together, not,
yeah. I think that there's so much more people. People don't realize that we have so much more in common than we have, you know,
Yeah,
whatever they have,
a
that
difference.
people want to argue about their differences and what we have in common. It's just like we have more in common than we do differences, and we argue about nuance and you know things that just it's like we're saying the same thing, dude,
Yeah,
or what or whatever, and it's like I don't know. Some of it, I had to get off social media for a while. I was like, this is just stupid. People are arguing about everything. They're fighting,
yeah,
you know. So
yeah,
I'm back on there now. I'm just on there mostly. I've cleared out most of my political crap that's on there. I try to just look for funny stuff now.
yeah. That's what I had to do. Yeah,
Like if you go down that rabbit hole at all, just even a little bit, you just as soon as you start clicking on anything political or commenting or liking or angry facing it or something, it still gets into your algorithm all of a sudden. So it's like you just have to ignore it,
yeah,
and eventually it'll go away. And I was going through I was erased. I was like, you can hit the button and tell them you're not interested in it,
yeah.
or not report something, but like just get it off your page. I don't want to see this kind of stuff anymore on the page. So I had to do a bunch of that stuff.
Yep, not interested. Me too.
You
Yeah,
know, because it's a slippery slope. It just
it is. Well, it
and then
was.
it starts feeding you a bunch of garbage, and you're like, oh, well, this must be true because I'm hearing it a lot these days.
Well, I was happy to find Instagram and start getting involved in music and
Yeah,
connecting with you. So thank you so much, for supporting Metal Grove and especially from the beginning. It's been a couple years and I'm really feeling like a more sense of purpose and connected with the community and just going to a lot of live shows. So just thank you so much for talking to
yeah,
me.
absolutely, man. Were you around in the '90s at
Yeah,
all?
I was, but it was like later 90s. Like I at 98, 99. So I did go to, some of the local venues a few times. Trying to think of some of.
Because from like '94 to like '90 to like to 2000, it was like really good.
Yeah,
Arizona had a really strong music scene.
yeah, definitely. I used to go to the Nile a lot back in those days. So, yeah.
Yeah, we played a lot of shows at the now. Corey Adams, the guy that used to own that place, was a good friend.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We did a bunch of shows at the Nile. We actually played with Radiohead at the Nile.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was probably one of the highlights of our career. Was opening up for Radiohead.
Wow. Well, are you
So,
guys open to any live shows in the future or?
man, I've been trying to get Jason to do something forever. I mean, we had a point since this new music came out. We had got our Spotify following up to over 50,000 stream followers, or monthly followers, and or streamer whatever monthly listeners.
Yeah.
And the guy that we're working with, this guy Mike Sherwood, he's got a company called Spark Street Entertainment. Mike's been with like Warner Brothers and Universal Music Group and a bunch of these people for about the last 30 years. And so he's got a lot of insight on how to work with streaming platforms and all. He's been doing that his whole career, so he's been able to help us through that, which is it's not easy. It's different than people think. You don't just put your music on Spotify and cross your fingers, right?
Yeah.
It does a lot to it, and if you're not doing it right, it doesn't work. So he knows how to do it. So he got us up to around 50,000 monthly listeners, and at that point, we had some opportunities to go to hook up with some um, booking agents and potentially do some festivals. And we started, he kind of asking about that a little bit. He's like, I got guys, if we get you guys over to Colombia, or Brazil or something, do some festivals over there and down in South America. And I'm just like, because
Yep.
we get a lot of streaming from South America and Mexico. The United States has done as well too, but I mean, but in the very beginning, it was like that really took off for us down there, and
Yeah.
Jason just was like flat out no, and I'm just like, come on, like, we got opportunities to maybe go to the UK and do some stuff, and I'm like, so I just kept bugging him, and just the over time I've just sort of stopped, trying with that. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see. I mean, I'm not slamming the door on it. I'm Matt and I are both open to it. I don't know. I'm not necessarily open to like going on the road for months on end, but I mean, I would be cool with doing some weekend gigs and traveling just a couple times a
Yeah.
month or something, or whatever, a few times a year, few festivals or whatnot. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Just getting Jason to commit to that would be difficult.
You're gonna have to get some new race suits.
Yeah, about bigger races.
Yeah. They don't fit anymore. Do you still have them?
I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a few items that are still left.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
cool.
I had one of the racing suits. I never wore a racing suit. I wore like a jacket. I wore a
Oh,
racing jacket. So just to be a little bit different from the rest of the guys in the band, right? They all had their suits, and I was sort of like the driver.
yeah.
They were pit crew or something. So you know, but you had asked me about what the plan was. So the plan was initially with these songs to release them as an album,
Okay.
and that album's going to was is going to be called the Antichristler.
Right.
Um, that's these collection of songs. It was basically because Jason and I were starting a band. It was Jesus Chrysler ish, but it wasn't Jesus Chrysler. So I'm like, well, maybe we can sort of, you know, play off some of the Jesus Chrysler's, energy and
Yeah.
try to pick up some of those stands and just call it,
Yeah.
Jesus Chrysler presents the Anti Chrysler.
Yeah.
Right. So we just, this is sort of an offshoot of that name. So, but since Matt joined the band, we're like, let's just go with Jesus Chrysler, and then we'll call the album the Anti Chrysler, and then we'll write a little story about why it was called the Anti Chrysler.
So how many more songs do you have?
Um, well, there's two more songs that aren't done yet. I still got to finish the lyrics on two of them because I've been lazy and moving and just a lot of other excuses for it. And so there's two more songs, but I've got also we have two songs from back in the Latter Day Speedway era that were never actually released, but they're on streaming platform. They're considered part of Latter Day Speedway on streaming on Spotify and everything.
Uh-huh.
Because when a buddy of ours uploaded all the music, he just put them out as if they were on that record.
Okay.
But they were never on that. But they were never on the record. This song called Geronimo and a song called Always Talking. Um, they were never actually released until he just uploaded everything.
Yeah.
So I've since had both those songs remastered, and I just got them back recently. They sound a lot better than what they used to. They're still kind of demo sounding a little bit,
Yeah.
but so I'm planning on adding those to this um, release of the Antichrist record, maybe as bonus tracks, or so it's either going to go one of two ways. We're either going to release an 8-song EP or album of Antichrist music, and then maybe an accompanying like a remastered demo disc, which would be 3 songs on there. Because we found another version of Tourniquet that we had recorded that was part of our demo deal package that we did with a guy named Ed Stasian,
Okay.
who he produced like Living Color, called a Personality song, and
Oh yeah.
all the Ramones records, and Def Leppard, a bunch of huge bands. He was our producer for our demo tracks. So we found another one of those songs that we had recorded with him. So I got sent that off to get mastered too, to see if we could. We never released that version of it, so and that song was on. Originally, it was on Latter Day Speedway. No, yeah, Latter Day Speedway.
Okay.
So we're probably gonna. So we've got three songs right now that are kind of sitting there. Where I'm trying to debate what we're gonna do with them. We're gonna release them. We're gonna try to make a have an actual release for them. Probably in the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
And then, are you going to do any physical, like vinyl or CDs or?
We're right now we're looking at doing working with a company doing like a to do vinyl.
Okay.
To do it's a company that does they do like print on demand.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
we're looking at doing something like that, and if that goes well, then we'll just go end up printing maybe some specialty copies, or we can get some special colored discs or something.
Yeah.
But just to get something rolling, we're going to probably do a print on demand thing, so we don't have to come out of pocket a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's the plan to do. To
Yeah.
do, we want to release the back catalog, the first three records on vinyl, and then also release this new one.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
And then Mike had mentioned maybe doing the remastered, um, like do an EP for the remastered songs. And I'm like, why don't we just slam them onto the Antichrist?
Yeah.
That's. But if we do a separate release, then we'll have another release, right? We'll have another something to make a big deal out of, right? So it's easier to get attention from some of the publications out there that they want to write articles and stuff like that if you have a story to sell. So
Yeah.
it might work out better if we do it a separate disc, separate release.
Yeah.
So
There's,
a little bit of uncertainty on with that stuff, but we're definitely putting out an album of all new stuff.
yeah.
The
It's
Antichrist record, yeah.
nice. I'll look forward to that.
So
Well, cool. Thank you so much, Mitch, for,
yeah,
yeah, talking to me. And, we'll have to do this again and, get it
sure,
hooked up with some of the other band members. And, cool. Thank you so much.
yeah. Well, if you're ever in Lake Area again or the Michigan area, let me know.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to hang out.
I'm here full time.
Definitely. All right. Take care.
You too, man.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Yeah. Bye bye.